Welcome to the greatest podcast on the internet. Whose meme is it anyway? The Warhammer 40K Humour.
Well, it's all about the memes and the points don't matter.
Yeah, the Warhammer 40K Humour podcast. Welcome. I'm Sneaky Beaky. I'm the resident Raven Guard player and an admin of the Facebook page and High Lord of the Discord. Next, we got Mr. Plague.
Hi, I'm Mr. Plague. I am an admin on the Facebook page, and I have played Warhammer in the past, and I'm more of just a lore fiend now.
All right, next we got Welsh Warboss.
I'm the boss.
Okay. Next we got Chaos Waifu.
Hi, I'm Chaos Waifu, and I'm getting speech jammed by my own headphones. I'm a mod on the Warhammer 40K, Discord for some unknown reason. I'm a chaos lover and a heretic, and I'm done.
All right. Next we got Sadrax.
Hello everyone, I'm Sadrax. I'm the token Polish guy on the Discord and also a moderator. I'm Dick, tool player.
All right. Next we got Tib.
Hello, my children. Have you come to hear the nice words of the recluse York? Have you come to be inspired upon the battlefield? Then I'm the wrong guy for the job. Hi, I'm a moderator on the Discord channel, and I am here. That's my introduction. I have never touched the tabletop, but I've begun reading up on the rules because I'm interested to begin 8th edition.
You lore whore. All right, next we got Stevicus.
Hi, my name's Stevicus. I've been running the Facebook page now for a few years. I've been into Warhammer for about 13 years or so. Just like Mr. Plague, I'm more of a lore fiend nowadays, but I do keep my eye on the tabletop, play it when I can. I'm excited to be here.
All right, and finally we got Aegis Imperio.
Hi everybody, I'm Aegis Imperio, so I'm probably the most competitive in the modeling right now. As the first moderator for the Discord, and then I moved on up to admin. So you guys have seen me around, and I'm known for loving Titans. That's kind of my persona on the Discord. But really, I'm just a fucking nerd who plays Warhammer.
Aren't we all?
Speaking of me loving Titans, though, I actually have to kick this off by disappointing everyone. The Discord, my fans, my fellow staff members. I failed you all. I'm the Titan guy, and I've done 3 games of 8th since it's been out, and I have yet to use any Titan model whatsoever.
Oh. So should we call the commissar now or later?
Disappointed!
I need a bell and yell shame at y'all.
Purge the heretic PTSD, read!
Maim, kill, burn! Maim, kill, burn!
Sneaky, wrong script, buddy.
Sorry. All right, so real quick, we're just going to go over what we have going on today. We're going to talk about 3 main topics that we think are fairly interesting that you guys might want to stay till the end for. We have what we think of 8th edition so far, our general thoughts on that, how it's been, and where we think it's going to go. We're going to talk about the upcoming codices and some of the controversy on that and what we think of it so far. And then finally, we're going to talk about the models, how they've been so far, some of the ones that have been released if we have had our hands on them, some of the upcoming releases, and some that are rumored to come out, including some of the controversy with the easy-to-build kits. And that is going to be our podcast. So we're going to start real quick with 8th edition so far. So I guess going around the round table, starting with, let's say, I guess, Sad, what do you guys think so far of 8th edition?
So far, well, it started pretty good, I think. Well, the indexes are pretty well balanced so far. The stat changes aren't that much different from the 7th edition. The rules aren't as well that different. Well, the dropping, the drop pods and, teleporting inside the battle did change a bit. I think it's for the better because there were lots of armies that actually relied on the deep strike mechanic, and right now it actually worked pretty fucking good. So what do you guys think about?
See, I'd actually disagree, at least with the drop pods a little bit, because, like, I mean, you couldn't really assault before, but you could get a little closer in the old edition and set up a drop pod a little better. All teleporting in Deep Strike, it has to be 9 inches now, and makes it really difficult for some charging because the average on a 2 dice roll is a 7, and having to be 9 inches away, it's really hard to give the possibility to try and assault from that, but it's not easy to accomplish. So it's kind of hurting some assault armies, I think. But they did balance that out a little bit with the person to charge always attacks first now.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Aegis here. I am the resident Raven Guard player, so a lot of my models revolve around my drop pods that I have, a lot of assault units, chainswords, and lightning claws, and of course Shrike to help them get, complete their charges. The problem is, even if I get to reroll my charges with Shrike, it's incredibly difficult to actually still accomplish that. Because I still only get 2 shots to get, 2 models in there. Or not 2 models, 2 units, Shrike and the assault unit. So, it can make it more difficult, and I do miss the days of just smashing a drop pod right into the enemy forces. That was fun. It was always fun to do some Steel Rain. But I do think that it is a little bit more balanced now, and it does give units like armies like the Tau a bit more of a fighting chance, I think. But at the same time, with the introduction of Rivers that we're going to discuss later on, units shooting armies like the Tau, like the Imperial Guard, have gotten slightly more, I guess, susceptible to assault units, especially jump assaults. But that's just my opinion.
Well, go to.
Haven't it always sort of been a reoccurring theme, though, amongst the Astra Militarum and the Tau, though, that there's sort of suspectability has been being weak in melee format and close assaults?
They always had ways to counter it, though, and I think this edition is probably showing those weaknesses a lot more in most cases.
I see.
I've heard a lot of Tau players complain about how the Tau are weaker now, how their marker lights aren't nearly as useful as they used to be. I'm not a Tau player, and I will admit that I don't know a whole lot about the Tau, but this is sort of a reoccurring theme that I have heard mentioned in the comment sections of a lot of our stuff and on the 40K official page.
There's actually some interesting bullshit going on with the Tau right now. It's not quite a controversy, it's just kind of a rule, what the fuck. So the stealth suits are a -1 to hit, and the way plasma guns work now, you can choose to overcharge, and on a 1, it explodes and the model dies. Well, since the stealth suits are -1, you could roll a 2, and that -1 will make it a 1. So basically, because the Tau are invisible, your gun explodes, and people are like, that makes absolutely no fucking sense.
So if you overcharge now and you roll a 1, do you generally just die, or do you just take a wound?
No, it's a death.
Yeah, it's
I see.
Okay.
Interesting.
Not even an armor save. It just
I do think it's a little derpy, though, that basically it's like, oh, there's a Tau, wait, he disappeared. Heresy! And then just explodes and dies.
You know what else is crazy about the overcharge rule? It says remove the model from the table, right? For like vehicles, that goes away, but on a Dreadnought even, it's removed from play if it overcharges.
Yeah.
You're serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
See, I actually really like the overcharge rule, only because I use a lot of plasma guns in my Imperial Guard army, and I felt like it made no sense that these elite veteran officers would hold the gun down for too long and die nearly every time.
I do.
And I know it's a 1 in 6 chance, but let me tell you, it does not work out that way.
Oh god, no.
They all die. My Lemon Russes would just break down because they're trying to shoot their plasma sponsons off.
I did actually run a game against a guy who was playing White Scars. It was a little friendly thing on Tabletop Simulator, which I highly recommend checking out.
Yeah, that's good.
But he had basically 1 chance to defeat my Shrike, which was like my last unit standing. He chose to overcharge his plasma pistol. It exploded. And the problem is that's way too common, or at least it was in 7th. 8th edition, it's slightly less because I don't believe it'll take models with it. Because I know in 7th, you could, it was like a radius, wasn't it? Or am I wrong?
No, because you could actually make an armor save against it in 7th.
Could.
It was, yeah, you could. And you can't, it just says remove from play now, which is why I think for vehicles, it changes from remove to play to like it does damage, which is why I think it's so crazy that a dreadnought is removed from play, because a dreadnought's basically armored like a vehicle, but overcharge can still destroy the entire dreadnought.
I mean, that's weird because traditionally I thought dreadnoughts were counted as vehicles.
In this edition, they don't even have the vehicle keyword. No.
Jesus Christ.
Were they vehicles in 6th?
Yes, 6th or 7th.
6th. Sorry, that's why I played a lot of dreadnoughts.
I don't know about 6th. In 7th, they had hull points though, and they were counted as vehicles.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Fluff-wise, they kind of are vehicles, kind of aren't, but that's another debate entirely. So.
Yeah, that's a whole different podcast.
Exactly.
It's a few hours worth of discussion there.
So, who else plays any different armies? Have you had any experience with 8th, and what do you think so far?
I don't like how templates work now.
Well, they're just
the fact that there's no templates.
They're just gone now, right?
But this way, right? You shoot a massive cannon at someone, and you only hit 6 people, whereas before taking on hordes, yeah, by the way, I've lost the orc thing, I don't care. Before, when you're taking on hordes, you know, you're shooting massive cannons, you're hitting like 10 models underneath, now you hit 1. When you're shooting like some kind of like planet destroyer shell thing, feels like you should be killing more.
I've heard that, at least when I tried to do my homework and watch the mini wargaming channel, that there we could sort of see both the yes and the no of removing templates. The yes bit was a whole lot of time was put into scatter shots and all that, where things were going with the templates. But the no thing, of course, was because now you don't have this nice template to check out where your hit shots are landing, what models are affected. So now you have to do all these different rule sets that I'm not familiar with yet myself.
Yeah, I just think, you know, when you're playing against a horde and you've got like 3 like Vindicators, for instance. Oh yeah, my Vindicators hit 3 people because you've got really bad rolls. Whereas before, you're guaranteed to hit, you know, if you're playing against a horde of 30 orcs, you're going to hit at least half of them.
Well, what I can say about this new edition is the fact that everything auto hits or like drop pods, like auto land, like you pick, just has to be within 9 inches or away 9 inches from the enemy. It has saved a lot of time, and the fact that things survive a lot, like anything can hurt anything. Just the fact that things are dying faster has really reduced the time on the game. Also, for those who don't know, I'm married. My wife's first language is Spanish, and I didn't even think it was possible to explain 7th to her. But I've actually been able to show her a game at 8th, and she's like, "Oh, okay, this makes sense."
Yeah, it's a thing that I could see as well, just trying to get into the tabletop hobby myself, is that I found comparing 7th edition and 8th edition is that I find 8th edition a whole lot easier to sort of segue into and just hop along and play along, which I guess is also tied into how they released the Primaris Marines line, but that's a whole different discussion in of itself. The 7th edition rules were, I wouldn't say a mess. I would only say a mess because I wasn't used to them at all. But that's just me.
Yeah, they were really complex unless you like spent the time to like read them out and go over them a few times. And even then, I still found myself like checking the rule book every 5 minutes
definitely.
just to like
check the tables and double check that rule and all that.
Yeah,
And don't
Wait, I
forget.
think I forgot to do something. Oh, let me check.
Yeah, don't forget that they actually released FAQ for 7th every few months. So FAQ and rules updates. So.
Well, and keep in mind, they've already released an errata and FAQ for all the indexes that I'm aware of, in addition to the main book. They've already done that.
Yeah, right. I forgot about this.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just quality of life improvements, some spelling errors, other things like that. There were some major errors that I noticed, one with scouts, I believe, that I can't recall off the top of my head. But things are getting better and they're being changed quickly according to feedback, which I do appreciate UG does.
Yeah, there was.
Facts is a good thing for sure. And the old one, before the facts, you could actually take multiple Celestines.
Yeah, there was a
God.
major broken thing with Dark Shrouds. You could stack 6 of them, and they would be unhittable by shooting attacks.
Yeah, and then they said same name auras don't stack.
Yeah,
Is the fix.
It's interesting because I think when this edition first started, when the rules first started coming out, especially people on our Facebook group were very hostile towards the changes. But I think over these last few months, people are actually quite happy with it.
Yeah,
I think so. I think so.
Around for it, I agree.
I haven't played since 5th, and the 8th edition rules have actually made me want to get back into it because of how streamlined it is. And yeah, I think it's good for bringing new people in, even if it is age of 40k or whatever you want to call it. But I do keep up with it. It is quite good.
And I don't think it's a bad thing in and of itself. Like, age of 40k wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing because, well, if you think about it, people still play Warhammer Fantasy. I mean, there were definitely some improvements with Sigmar. I mean, we might not all like it in the Sigmarines, Stormcast Eternals.
Fighting words, Sneaky.
No, but I mean, like, there are improvements to be had there. And I think what when we were first talking about 8th on our page was that Flamer armies like the Sisters were going to be completely overpowered because now the Flamers are auto hits. They don't have to auto hit the entire unit. That is true, and that's why I'm putting a Flamer in all of my tactical squads. But at the same time, they're Sisters. How overpowered?
What I can say, Flamers, while they are incredibly strong, I've used them. They have a very reduced range. Is kind of like my Flamers for my Death Watch. They had an 8-inch range. So, like, even for Overwatch, if you tried to charge from 9 inches, while that's really difficult to achieve, I technically wouldn't be able to Overwatch you because that exceeds my Flamer's range.
Got it.
Interesting.
So I think overall we're relatively satisfied with 8th edition so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point changes are a bit excessive at some point. I don't know if you guys really looked into that much. But I saw this dude, he had a Tau broadside? Those dudes with the missiles on their backs and all that.
Yeah.
So for him to roll into a match with his broadside and missiles, it would have cost him 65 points. But now that's been jacked up to about 202 points.
Oh yeah, vehicles are ridiculous now. Heavy supports, it's hard to fit them even into 2,000 points was the competitive scene. I can barely fit some vehicles in for like my Death Watch now.
Yeah, and I appreciate that they've probably been buffed a fair bit, but at the same time, as far as I've heard, the Orcs have pretty much got a buff across the whole board. And I was talking to another guy, he had a 2,000 point army. It's now only costing him about 1,300. So it's interesting to see like where these things kind of scale up and just how much of a buff the Orcs have got.
Yeah, boys for the war!
Can't the Orcs like both run and charge the same turn or something?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, boys can war and then run, but we don't have to war.
Yeah. It's... I don't know, I think a lot of people, probably not Orc players, it's very easy to see some nerfs to your favourite class and say, oh crap, they've neutered my race. This is before they have a chance to play it themselves, by the way, and then they jump onto a new race, and then a year down the line, new rules come out for them, and then they just keep jumping between race and race, ignoring the fact that other races are getting buffed and nerfed, and the whole thing's always in flux. Obviously, you'll see bigger changes at a time like now, but... I don't know. I've never played Tau. I've always been an Imperial Guard kind of guy. I don't even call them Astra Militarum. I'm old.
Astra Militarum, what? You're in the Guard, son.
I fix the bayonet and charge forward. Yeah, I think it's time, right?
Yeah, I think it's time to move on to the next topic. But overall, we're pretty satisfied with it. The next topic we're going to talk about are the upcoming codices. Right now, we know right off the bat that there is a bit of controversy over one of the codexes that is being released. That is the Codex Space Marines. People are concerned that this codex will essentially overwrite the Index Space Marines, or Index Imperium 1, which was, I have in front of me, entirely Space Marines. There was no Guard, no Sisters, Inquisition, nothing, all that's Imperium 2. Now, there has been some stipulation on this, however. it is noted that the Blood Angels, the Dark Angels, the Space Wolves, and the Death Watch, and I believe the Grey Knights as well, will not get any new rules in this next codex. If I recall correctly, which I'm pretty sure I do, this is going to focus more on chapters that haven't gotten their stuff yet. This is also going to be the Primaris Codex for things that haven't been released yet. Things like the Rivers or the upcoming Redemptor class Dreadnought or the new tank.
Yeah, I'm currently on actually GW's website where they're talking about this, and it says that this is just going to focus on Space Marine chapters not covered in the indexes, rules for new stuff, and the interesting thing is that like with the indexes and these codexes, like the codexes are going to like come up with tweaks for rules in the index, which I think that's kind of weird. Personally, like, why would they?
That the codex rules override the index rules because they're the most.
Yes, they do actually. They released frequently asked questions, and they did say people could continue to use the indexes if it was agreed upon, but for competitive purposes and the fact that some of the armies they said will be getting new rules like altogether, that the Codex Space Marines will be, and all codexes will replace the index as far as point values, and if they have new rules, use that. And what I actually think is funny, and if you look at one of their selling points for 8th, they said you'd need fewer books for the table, but by reintroducing codexes, like that's not true anymore.
I also just like the fact that if you know, when they release the basic rules for free, if you go on eBay, there are people selling them for £2-3 a pop.
How strange.
Which I think, considering it's free, is just really, really tight. You know, I think that does terrible damage to it.
Well, the way I see the codex is that it's more players like me who play less, I guess you could say, popular chapters. I wouldn't call the Raven Guard obscure because they're one of the original founding chapters, but they're less played, I'll admit. You know, it's not often that I come across, you know, another Son of Korax. So this is more, I think, for guys like me who are hoping for rules for, you know, the White Scars, maybe the Lamenters, not that they're ever going to get anything, or the Raven Guard, people like that.
I think you're right. I mean,
yeah,
the cynic in me kind of tells me they're just trying to sell it all piecemeal and make as many rules they can just to make as much money as they possibly can while it's got this popularity going. Because I swear, 40K is having a bit of a golden age right now.
I think
agree to that.
But the other part of me is hoping they'll do the same with Imperial Guard, and I'll get my Katachan Codex and my Death Corps Codex and my some other obscure Imperial Guard Regiment Codex.
Elysian Drop Troops.
Those Trojans.
Valhallans.
Yeah.
The Praetorians.
I want all of that.
Anyone else cry a little bit when they did the guard is dead, like the squat jokes after the Fall Acadia supplement? Just
yeah.
I mean, that's not the only guard unit out there, so already that's just an idiotic thing to say.
It still brought some salt, I won't lie.
People like to cause ruckus just for the sake of causing ruckus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so about the releases of the codexes, I actually have in front of me a leaked semi-schedule for those.
Really?
Yeah, there was I think it was, it's Spiky Bits that talked about it, that in July the codexes that are going to release are Primaris and Death Guard, so maybe this will be the Space Marine one.
Just a little bit of a bragging note, where I live, I actually know like the founder of Spiky Bits personally. Just want to brag about that, Rob Bear. He's a pretty
really?
Good...
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
Oh,
That's cool.
Yeah, so and in August there's going to be an Aldari and Astra Militarum Codex. In September, Sisters of Battle and Chaos Marines. And in October, Demons and Thousand Suns. This is what was...
Wait. Did you say Sisters of Battle?
Yes, I said Sisters of Battle.
Oh my god.
Do you think we might be getting some plastic sisters?
Plastic sisters confirmed on this channel, lad.
Well, maybe the same way.
Sneaky, sit.
Plastic Sisters confirmed. Get hype, get hype.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would be nice if they actually released Plastic Sisters, even as easy to build models.
Honestly, at this point, I think it's worth taking into account that G-Dubs has been teasing Plastic Sisters for how many editions now? I will admit I'm pretty skeptical of it, to say the least. But it is correct, and take it with a grain of salt. All the listeners here, we don't know if this is confirmed or not. This is just released by Spiky Bits. It could be true, could be false. Personally, I'm a little bit skeptical because Sisters of Battle, and of course, there's also the fact that it seems like they would release what they've announced first, right, rather than releasing things that they haven't announced before even releasing Grey Knights, which they haven't.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Sisters fans are so starved for new models. I mean, the Canonist, they sold it in a limited run just to kind of test interest, and it kept selling out repeatedly. I think it's only just now kind of hit where it's stable and you can order it.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
It was selling out like crazy, and I know Sisters players who they were buying the Fall Acadia book in the multiples just to get those Seraphims to make Seraphim squads. It was just so bad how starved these poor guys are for new models.
I do feel bad for Sisters players. I do.
I do as well, especially hasn't it been sort of just a running tease now that the Games Workshop has been going the last 1 or 2 years, Plastic Sisters are cool, right? And then nothing happens.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we were just saying about how they were testing interest. I think that's why they kept keeping them in the player mind set.
Yeah, I'm wondering what they are going to do later on, because those are 3 Chaos Codexes: Chaos Marines, Demons, and Thousand Suns. I wonder how it will work for them.
Well, in addition to Death Guard, so 4.
Yeah, this will be 4th, but I think they should swap it a little bit, mix so that nobody else feels butthurt that Chaos got 2 months of constant coverage. Because there are going to be people like that.
I'm sure there are.
There's always going to be those guys.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're not going to stop at releasing these 10 codexes. There's got to be more. The question is when.
True. I wonder what they'll do with other factions like Orcs and Tyrannids, because those two actually needed a codex update for a long time. With the index now giving them better rules, I wonder what will happen with the codexes for those two.
What I've actually been hearing is just with the indexes that Tyranid players are kind of poking their head into the competitive scene again. They're like, oh, hey, hi, yeah, we are a thing. We're here.
From what I saw when Matt from Mini Wargaming was doing a Tyranid game and trying rather try-harded to play it, the Tyranids got to actually keep their old edition rules while segueing into the new edition rules, and he did quite well.
Is that the one
even against the Space Marine player and the Astra Militarum player.
I think the Nids have one of the only models that have some sort of deep strike rule that can land closer than 9 inches. I don't remember what it's called actually, but I think they're the only army that has one actually.
Well, that's powerful.
Intriguing.
Yeah, one of the things that I kind of like about the new about the Nids is I can't remember what unit, but they can just restock units of Termagants and Hermagants that die. So every turn you can just get restock your troops.
Oh yeah, there is a spawner like that. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you can spawn without actually, but you can only spawn a certain type, I believe. So you can only spawn. So again, going back to Mini War Game, and Matt put 10 of the ones he could respawn at the one he couldn't at the back, and then you just put 20 of the ones you can at the front and mix the unit, and then you just let those die first and just keep taking off them. It's really, really cool. If you want to just tar pit people, he actually did it in a video against a Demon Prince.
Interesting. Who was that? I don't know if he's still a unit, but in 6th edition, there was a Imperial Guard character who you could use to basically remove all your conscripts from the table and bring them back on full force.
I've
was
never
that?
heard of that. That's
You
interesting.
can do it.
He was the Russian-looking guy. I can't remember his name. I'm drawing a blank. But it sounds a bit OP, especially now that individual soldiers in a unit can target different units.
Well, a lot of
Which
guard
sounds
players
crazy
are
to me.
actually really upset because they don't have the platoons anymore that let them.
Yeah,
40
I was at first, to be honest with you, because I quite enjoyed that aspect of it all, but I'm not. I've gotten over it.
You used to do a Gene Stealer cult, by the way, that you could call ambush off and then come back at full strength. If that might be what you're getting confused with, maybe.
Well, quite possibly. I'll be honest with you. My main strategy in all of it was just to hide behind those covers you could deploy and shoot things with a quad gun.
Yeah.
And that got me through, until my brother dropped Terminators down.
No, it's not.
Cue Terminator theme. Because
I'll be honest with you though. I mean, the dice are not always in your favor. I remember when my tech priest once beat 3 Terminators just because the dice were just being really weird that day.
I once spent a game waiting 3 turns for my Terminators to turn up from reserve, and every time they deep struck, they mishapped. And there was just one tactical squad hanging on as they were getting chased down, waiting for my Terminators. Didn't work out too well.
Yeah, so I found the Tyrannid unit that actually can deep strike closer. It's the Death Leaper. He can choose an enemy character to stalk, and at the end of the movement phase of the Tyrannid player, he can be placed 6 inches away from the enemy character, but more than 1 inch away from a unit. So we can actually deep strike him 2 inches from an enemy unit, but it has to be at least 6 inches. I mean, yeah, within the 6 inches from enemy character.
The Harlequins are looking like the most OP thing just in these rules, I think, at the moment. Some of their rules for like hitting and running and stuff, what they are now, hit, run, and then charge again.
How excited are you guys regarding the codexes for the new lore stuff that they'll bring?
I'm excited.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I think I am too, yeah.
with the risk of sounding off topic, just despite the question, the most I'm looking forward in the new codexes is actually all, for some reason, it's all the stats, infographics, and all the new artwork.
Right, yeah.
Well, if you actually look at a lot of GDub's codexes, they just reuse the same models because they have, that heavy metal team and they paint everything and they just put those things in a case, and they're the same models on the website that they use for their battle reports they do on Twitch. So I'm not sure how much more new art we'll see. Hopefully we see some, but lore wise, I'm a little skeptical. I think a lot of it's going to be stagnant. Like, how much more lore can you give about Tyranids, really? Although the town might have some interesting lore, what with the fact that they've been exposed to chaos more recently.
Yeah.
I like, okay, so some of the things about the lore that I think will be interesting to see, just in the codexes, is how the Tyranids are going to have to deal with the fact that they can't feel the Astronomicon on half of the galaxy. So, like, what can they do, really?
That's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, I actually now just realized that with the leak schedule didn't include Dark Angels. So what I think is that Dark Angels will be either at the end of the year or at the start of the next year, at least the first half. And it might be actually possible for them to release the Lion with the Codex.
I had an interesting conversation with someone the other day, and we were saying with the whole Primaris Marines coming out, do you think there might be in the lore almost a second Horus Heresy, for the Chaos players to get access to the Primaris Marines? Don't all rush at once to answer, guys. Okay.
I don't see anything. I think also speak in regards to lore, you can develop the Tyranids further because they recently added in a more lore-esque approach of Tyranids versus Chaos Demons. And I'm more interested to see how that develops as well, because I'm not sure if it has been touched on before. Mostly what I've seen has mostly been fan work. Now, of course, the galaxy is split in half.
Yeah, I think they're not one canonical, but like one of the more prominent instances of chaos fighting Tyranids is that there was a Khorne worshipper that decided to take on a hive fleet by himself, because since the Tyranids are always evolving and changing, he could take a new species of skull with basically every kill for his god. and
Just to roll back quickly to what Welsh said about the whether it be a new Horus Heresy with the Primaris Marines.
Oh yes.
I think if there is, then Rowboat Girly Man is gonna look like a complete moron.
They have a secret head. They have a secret head explode.
Not again.
I mean,
Fair enough, but
You see, Suicide Squad has
already. Girly Man has done one thing, in my opinion, somewhat right. He has excluded trainer gene stock. Now, whether or not you think that's interesting in terms of the lore and gameplay, that's your own thing. Personally, I think it would have been more interesting to include trainer gene stock, but he didn't. So I think that does decrease the risk of the heresy, because
Yeah,
let's find like maybe some loyalist Thousand Sons, like some Primaris, like some
Blood Ravens.
Blood Ravens, yeah, like some Primaris Blood Ravens that encounter Trader Thousand Sons, and the Trader Thousand Sons might think, hey, these guys are new, and they have our gene seed, we might be able to actually convert them. I don't think that can't happen now.
A lot of lore theorists are saying Fabius Bile is going to get his hand on some Primaris, and that's how that Chaos are going to get their Primaris models.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, with some of the information they released about Primaris Marines, is that Chaos came into contact with them, and Abaddon commissioned the creation of something similar, but I don't think that we're actually going to see corrupted Primaris Marines. I think we're going to get close, but with like chaotic monster.
Oh.
Yeah, while I don't suspect that we will see Primaris corrupted, I will admit it would be really cool to see corrupted Primaris. I don't think they're going to do that just for the sake of avoiding looking like they're rehashing the Horus Heresy all over again.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Honestly,
he was very active on Cadia right before it blew up, wasn't he? The Belarus dude. So if he had another big goof up, it would just make him a bad character as well, I think. Not that Cadia was all his fault, but I think, people on the internet are like, they'll read into it. And you know what the Inquisition's like as well.
I imagine you guys seen Suicide Squad, how they got the little thing in their heads to explode if they go bad. I just imagine that happening to any Primaris that goes to time to
that might actually not be the worst idea.
And we thought it was the
in before Belisarius Call does something stupid again.
That's it, Belisarius.
So I think that's going to wrap up that section of the discussion. Overall, we think the indexes or the codexes are going to be interesting. They do kind of invalidate the indexes to a degree, but I think the indexes are still going to be useful personally. And as a Raven Guard player, they were always a stopgap to me to begin with, because the only rules they included for my personal faction were with Shrike. So if you're more of a Blood Angels player or a Space Wolf, the indexes are going to be more your thing anyway. Moving on to our final point of discussion, we're going to talk about the models. Some people are a bit concerned about the easy-to-build thing, because I noticed a lot of comments, which really surprised me. People think that these easy-to-build models are going to be just the thing. They think that from now on it's going to be easy to build models, which
Interesting.
I have to ask. Did you hit your head as a baby?
Yeah,
No,
I think
because
it's
think about it. They're selling them under unit. They sold these are going to be their main things from now on, if we're following that theory. So why would they release them and only easy to build? That's going to turn off a lot of the vets. And think back to 7th edition when they released the new Tactical Marines. They released an easy to build model of the Tactical Marines in squads of 3. Then they rolled out the full squads of 10. You know, I mean, think about this.
Sure.
I don't think they're going to just release units of 3 when you need a minimum of 5 to field a unit of Plague Marines or of Intercessors or of Rivers, which personally, side note, I'm really interested in the Rivers because I think that would negate Overwatch. If you look at the new tactical that came out, which would honestly make my Raven Guard army so much more effective. But that aside, I don't think they're coming out with just easy to build. This is to the main models, of units of like 5 and 10, what the indexes are to the codexes. They're stopgap, get into it measures. I think that's pretty much what they are.
Yeah, you have to remember that they actually now started to target lower aged people, like kids and so on. And the sets of the easy to build models are actually pretty cheap for GDAP standards. So those may be just as simply, hey kids, come over here, let's get you started on the plastic crack addiction, and after that you can move on to the...
Well, I was quite a young man when I first got into... I started on fantasy. It was the Lizardmen I collected. And I think you're right, Sadrax. They were quite difficult for a young man with glue to not get his hands stuck together. But I think on the other side of that, it's quite a strange coincidence. I was chatting to a dude at work today, and he said to me he would love to get back into Warhammer if they sold the models. I didn't agree with him, I nearly hit him. If they sold the models pre-made and pre-painted.
They're pre-colored plastic they're pre-colored blue, which minimizes painting if you want, but you can just...
Well, that's it, yeah. So I think...
But they are still blue, so if you don't want to play Smurfs, you're kind of shit out of luck and you got to repaint that.
I think he's someone who... he has more money than time, I think. That's the kind of the demographic he is.
I think he wants action figures, that's what he wants.
This is this is basically why GDAP actually has that many colored sprays. Not only the primers, but they started releasing even more colors to their spray palette.
Like, for example, I know that Chaos Waifu, she plays Thousand Suns.
Yeah, pretty much.
And, well, I know you would like to have them. And, for example, and this is a very legitimate thing, she would like to have them. Well, you can explain.
I just don't have the patience or the skill level to sit down and paint them myself. So I would like them to come pre-painted. I think that'd be really fucking cool. And I just they'd be prettier.
I think it could be.
They'd be prettier.
Because when you do it yourself, it's more of a mixed bag.
I would mess up. And the perfectionist that I am, I'm sitting here looking at your minis, and they're well done for an amateur, but they don't look the thing like they do on the website. And that just
wow.
I want them to be pretty, and I want them to be like quote unquote perfect, and I want them pre-painted.
I only just got my edge highlighters in like a couple of days ago.
No,
fuck right off.
I know you did.
Relationship deleted.
Your first set of minis, honey. I'm not saying anything like you won't get better. I'm just saying that I would like them.
I mean, I kind of get Waifu. I love painting, but it's definitely a lot of time involved in getting it painted, especially painted nicely. But
oh yeah.
Not only that, it's a matter of. And I'm losing the thought here. Crap.
Well, I think we've kind of shown that there's a big audience for the easier to make models.
Yes.
I know, obviously, Sneaky, you made the argument that that's not the only way it's going to be, which is a good thing, I think, because I think a lot of hobbyists would probably quit, but I didn't personally see the issue with having an easier way forward.
Yeah, I agree. 'Cause if you got to put together like a really big horde of units, you know, really quick snap together would be great, you know?
Because I know there are a lot of people who play a bit more competitively, you know, and they don't care if they have, you know, an army of like 3 clones, you know? Like, to them, that's not that big of an issue. To me, it is, because I want every single model to be individualized. I'll spend like 3 hours on them. And yes, I am an amateur. I'm fairly new to tabletop.
Do you name your battle brothers? You name them, don't you?
I don't name them, actually, no.
I did at school.
Name them? Oh,
yeah. I have the memory of me having one by accident. Obviously, I went to a friend's house and I had it in my pocket, and some guy saw it and asked what his name was.
What'd you say?
And it was Cool Pie. It was a salamander.
I knew a Smurf player who he had a whole ultramarine company, and he had named every single model and had a background on every single battle brother. And it was like over 100 space. It was a company, and he had a name for every guy and their whole story and their relationships. It was crazy.
That's dedication. But think about what happens if you don't want to play Ultramarines anymore.
I'm sorry.
Like, what happens if you grow a 3rd brain cell and decide I don't like Smurfs anymore?
Oh.
Then you mean second one, not 3rd.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm sorry, that was a bit mean. No, I do actually. Here's the deal. I do like the Ultramarines. I just don't like how overpowered very soon they are. I like the idea of having a more basic rule-following chapter. That's fine by me. I think there's a place for it. The problem is what Matt Ward's done with it, where he's made it the greatest, most overpowered chapter ever. Everyone like that.
I think what we're hearing here is that Matt Ward's favorite chapter is the Ultramarines.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Like, that's not a secret.
No, so he's just giving all of his guys the best thing.
Well, and that's the problem.
All the rest of y'all are like, fuck.
Prior to Matt Ward, I liked the Ultramarines. I thought they were cool, and they were. You know, because I was classically educated, so the Greco-Roman theme was...
it was really, Roman tacticians. It was really...
Exactly. But now that they're the greatest chapter ever, and everyone must bow to their spiritual liege... It's kind of bullshit to me personally, but
the Roman aspect, aside from in the models, is almost gone too, and that's
which is an absolute shame.
And unfortunately, this is spreading beyond tabletop as well, with the upcoming sort of internet short ebooks and all that. It has been rather too much heavy of a focus on the Ultramarines and the sort of crazy things they can pull out in battle. It's just
like tearing a Necron pylon out of the ground and using it as a melee weapon. Cough, Marin's Caligar, cough.
Yes.
dancing in circles around a demon prince and other silly things. Yeah.
Emperor text-to speech made me laugh when Calgar just punched that Wraith Knight.
Yeah. That was good. But yeah, another thing I want to bring up that bugs me, and I know this is really off topic. Why the hell are the Raven Guard a Codex chapter? Why? So stupid.
I don't know.
They weren't from the beginning?
No. They were back in the I want to say 6th edition. They were a little different, where they would use like red trim to denote assault squads, green tacticals, yellow for devastators, forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, and black for veterans, right? And now they have to do the company trim, and they have to follow company rules. It used to be that they were entirely stealth-oriented, had their own units and shit like that, and they were really fucking cool for it. But anyway, I digress. I'm a Raven Guard player, and I get no love. Although, probably...
It must be hard.
It is hard. I have to cry myself to sleep sometimes.
It's okay.
Although I will admit, Shrike in 8th edition, he is a whole can of fuck you. He really is.
In a good way or a bad way?
In a good way. In a really good way. Well, bad way if you're on the receiving end, but anyway. So some of the upcoming confirmed that we have to talk about in terms of models. We know that we're going to be getting more intercessors. We know that we're going to be getting more hell blasters, which are the plasma squads, and we know we're going to be getting more of those jump guys. I forget what they're called. Does anyone remember? Primary assault.
Go internet powers.
I just remember their orbital drop, but that's not the name. It's just what they do.
Well, while we're talking about those guys, does anyone else think that their position's really, really weird? Going back to the whole individual, pre-made thing. Their legs just stick out really stupid angles.
I hadn't noticed, but
Inceptors. Inceptors. That's it.
Seriously, look at the Inceptors, right? Their legs are just so stupid.
Here we go.
Oh.
Here we go.
I mean,
yeah.
Are they double jointed?
It doesn't look like they're actually like in the air, does it? It looks like they're kind of hanging by some sort of
hovering, just hanging, just like there's something holding them under the arms.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And where the fuck are they pointing their guns?
Stuck up their ass.
It kind of looks like that scene in the first Iron Man movie where Tony Stark is trying to figure out how to fly for the first time.
It kind of does. You're right.
But where are they even pointing their guns? Like
You
the
only point your
guns
gun
are.
at something if you intend to kill it, Warboss.
You're on foot. By the looks of it.
They have some posability. The backpacks probably hinder it a bit, but I think they have some posability, so that's probably just how G-Dub painted them up.
Well, yeah, you can clearly move their arms, you can move their heads from the looks of it, you can probably move their legs a little bit, and I guess their torso. Yeah, you can move their torso.
I
just do have some possibility.
I don't like the hood. It looks so dumb to me.
No, the hood is a little... Are they all psychers? Is that what they have?
No, that's what it looks like, but it's... Yeah.
What I think it is actually that the backpack and most of the armor is actually an addition to the standard armor that the primaries have. You can look at the legs that they have; they are actually standing on something. So I think it's more like an outer second shell of armor that actually allows them.
I can give a little bit of lore context for this. They're like ODST. They drop from orbit, but there's no drop pod. They just drop from orbit. So this is probably like on their feet. Those are buffer pads for like intense landings.
Yeah, makes
They
sense.
still look stupid.
Jump assaults like from a plane, but you're in the air. But these guys are like actually being dropped from space.
And,
yeah, I will say, and talk about some other models that look a little wonky. One of the captains they released, not the new captain that they released, which looks a fair bit cooler, or the librarian, which looks...
I hate that librarian.
I actually really like that librarian.
Without his helmet, he looks just stupid.
Well, he comes with a helmet.
Yeah, you've got to put the helmet on. Without the helmet, he just looks absolutely stupid.
Well, I mean, it's your choice, which, thing you cut off the sprue, so it's not that big of a deal.
I think it's a standard librarian head, so the same as with most of the Grey Knights special characters, looking a bit like Caldor Drago.
I like that new librarian model better with the helmet. He actually has a helmet head too that looks so good. Oh.
See, thank you. I think the captain looks better without a helmet, and the librarian looks better with the helmet.
Yeah, I think I can agree with you guys there. I can definitely. Yeah.
Looking at it now, I think you're right.
Some other things that there are to talk about are, I think, what we think about the rumored ones that are coming up. So, like, I think everyone knows Mortarion is going to come at some point, right? That's not a surprise to anyone.
Definitely. Like, we've seen his scythe like 2 times now. So.
Right. They're just hinting it. They haven't confirmed anything, but, we know Mortarion is coming. What he's going to be like in the rules, I don't know, but I guarantee you he's going to be released before the Death Guard Codex. I'm calling it right now. I do think so, just so that they can have a promotional thing to release with the Death Guard. If not, squads of Plague Marines.
didn't they do the same thing with Reboot and the Primaris Marines, that they had Reboot first up and then the Primaris Marines followed as a sort of promotion?
Didn't
Right.
Magnus come out before his the Thousand Sun Codex? It was
Yeah,
like
he did.
Magnus
I think
and
so.
Codex.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If they keep up with this pattern, we should be seeing Mortarion pretty soon.
So far, all evidence points towards it, but I don't know.
And
We'll see.
With Mortarion, actually, we will see that tank for the Death Guard. They actually leaked photos.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in it because it looks like a long-ranged mortar or a little bit modified Vindicator. So either they are going to actually add a new artillery piece for the Death Guard and probably for the Chaos as well.
Well, the actual
Or-
barrel, if you kind of compare it to the Demolisher for a Lehman Russ, it's fairly similar to. It's the short, fat. It's like the Demolisher, so I think it's gonna kind of be like a mortar where it's like a spread shot, or just for hacking out infantry. That's my prediction, at least, just comparing to other minis. But who knows?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Vindicator and this tank. The barrel looks a lot larger, so we shall see.
Mm-hmm. And has anyone heard about the upcoming Primaris Aggressors?
No.
No.
So
Heard the
Primaris
name, but
Aggressors,
seen it.
much like the Rivers, were mentioned initially in the Dark Imperium novels that came out. These are, from what I can tell, Aggressors are a Primaris unit that are equipped with shoulder-mounted missile racks that are reloaded from internal armor stores located within the Aggressor's Gravis armor, which is what the
So they're termies, basically.
essentially, but they also have flame gauntlets that, and I quote, billow forth burning Promethean. So I think they might be a cross between Termies and Devastators because we don't have a true Devastator replacement. We have the Hellblasters, but that's just a plasma gun unit.
So it's more of a Devastator Centurions, I think.
Yeah, I would think.
I think that might be closer to the analog, yeah.
Wasn't there also another one with heavy focus on missile launchers too?
Was there?
I saw it on a glance by this morning. I think. I'll have a dig around.
What about the repulsor tank as well? Obviously.
Yes. I believe that's going to be Forge World, actually.
Yes.
Thank God.
We
I don't
need
want to
your
see
guns,
it.
so we put guns on your guns on your guns.
Exactly.
Heck no, I want it.
Oh, what I want is that sweet smoking piece of new Dreadnought. Oh my God. It is knees, guys. It is knees.
Who thought that it would take 10,000 years for them to figure out how to put knees on dreadnoughts to make them go faster?
Pretty soon we'll have like Dreadnought Titans. It'll be glorious.
And then the Emperor can return, completely rebuilt from Cybernaut.
Golden Throne Titan.
I'm looking at the Dreadnought now. It's pretty tasty.
Why is there not new Orc stuff? That is my question.
The Orcs have got buffed up in the rules.
Yeah, but I want new models. You getting all these fancy
You know what
Primaris.
I always thought would be a cool orc rule is to make like a loot rule where they can take like any Imperial vehicle, but it's like minus to the ballistic skill or something, or like have some sort of subtraction. But like they can take.
Well, actually, in fourth there was actually I think rules for a looted vehicle, but I might just be hallucinating a little bit.
I once made a conversion of a orc who had looted. Do you remember Necron Wraiths? The ones which, like, I can't think of how to describe them. They're like a rectangle with a bit sticking out the bottom.
Yeah.
I had an orc sitting on top of one of those with chains in its head, controlling it.
That's brilliant.
That's great.
But I don't know whether if people listen to this, I'll try and dig it out so people can see.
Yeah, fantastic.
Just so I had some input there.
Cool. I personally haven't really looked into the rumours of the new models that much. So I don't really have much more to say on this subject.
Yeah, I'd quite like to see some love for some other stuff, you know. Cool, Space Marines, Gale Space Marines getting some stuff. But, you know, bring out some more new stuff for everything.
Yeah, I think Once the codexes start rolling out in full, that's when we'll start seeing the new releases for stuff. Because like, I don't think they've even announced when the Orcs Codex is going to come out yet. So,
yeah, I only have one other rumor to contribute for upcoming models. This is probably far in the future, but if you read Fall Acadia and a few other books, it kind of hinted at a Fulgrim. So what it's looked like is it's looking like G-Dub's possibly trying to slowly introduce all 4 of the Trader Primarchs. I mean, they are around, so there's no reason really to not have a model for them if they're totally usable and make it.
Yeah. On that note, I'm pretty sure it's heavily implied that Angron is going to show up on Armageddon soon. So.
Yeah, and Ras and Lion will probably follow up, because if we've seen already Gilly and the Magnus, I think that after Ras arrives, I think Ras will arrive after Angron, and because Ras arrives, the Lion will arrive as well because of their feud.
I'm kind of hoping as well, you know, as much as I love Gazgul, I'm hoping we will get a new orc kind of thing as well as, you know, like a new big boss kind of thing.
I think the orcs could definitely benefit from some new characters for sure. Yeah.
He's just so stale, you know?
Yeah, can't argue.
Yeah.
Or
I know
maybe
there's also
maybe what will happen is that Vulcan will arrive thinking he's the beast, and will lead a new orc.
I'll take it.
A new orc. Wow.
No, he won't just show up thinking he's the beast. He'll show up with Korax after their little mini-series, and they'll have their own little friendship wah.
No, some orc like accidentally becomes part of a hive mind and like has his own Tyranid fleet he can control, and he's like a savage or like a Tarzan-esque orc.
Swinging around inside the bioship like Tarzan, making wow.
yeah. But actually, on the serious note, I would like to see savage orcs in 40k and Exodite Eldars. Those are 2 factions that are in the lore, but not actually
not touched upon.
Yeah, not touched upon.
Do you think, by the way, just throwing out a random off-topic thing here, do you think it's too late for G-Dubs to introduce a new faction, completely new race at all? You know, with the whole.
No,
I think we could have a whole. Honestly, I don't think that will happen anytime soon. I think we could have several podcasts talking about that, though. That's a huge.
On the next podcast, I'd have to do my research, but there's this race that's like exclusive to Dark Heresy, but they're so well fleshed out and they're gorgeous, and they totally would fit like the model scheme. Again, I'll do my homework, but
that's interesting.
They could definitely be a tabletop race if G-Dub really wanted.
Yeah, definitely keep us posted on that, man.
Yeah. There are also small rumors of G-Dub reviving the squats under another name.
They're in the rule book, actually. The rule book's more lore than rules in this edition. And the squats are mentioned as a known abhuman, so they exist again. There's just no rules. They could quietly bring them back, actually.
Interesting. I thought their homeworld got eaten by Tyranids, but they might just retcon that like a lot of shit.
Yeah, like they might retcon Sanguinius, but I'm not even going to get into that right now.
No, let's leave the lore for another podcast.
Yeah,
Rage.
Definitely.
All right, guys, so I think we're actually going to wrap up. Any final thoughts anyone wants to give?
No, it's just that I'm quite positive about the whole 8th edition thing. I think a lot of people are.
I'm positive about this podcast. We actually didn't do as terrible as some of us thought we would.
There's still time.
Well, this is the 5th time we tried.
There's still time.
Shall we do the outros in the same order as the intros?
Oh, sure, why not?
Or reverse order?
Oh, reverse would be better, I think.
Let's do
curveball.
Okay, reverse if that me first. Lots of stuttering, sorry. So again, I'm Aegis Imperio, the admin, not Facebook, for the Discord. I think it's been fun. If you guys want, you can watch. I casually do Twitch sometimes and just be silly. Trying to do some sort of admin event someday, but that would just be twitch.com/Aegis 40K-Imperio. You can see my name on the Discord, or I think there's going to be a post later with the link to the podcast. So I think it was Sad before me.
No, it's Stevie.
Oh, I'm so
Come
sorry.
on, dude. Come on. That's all
You're
right.
up, Stevie. Way to fuck it up.
So you can find me on Twitter at _Stevicus. And I typically stream a few times a week as well over at twitch.tv/Stevicus. So that's pretty fun. And that's it. It's been a good time. Thanks for having me, guys.
Well,
Next, we got Tib.
for my outro, I'm looking forward into delving deeper into the 8th edition. If things work out in my private life sphere, I might be actually getting my chance at painting a model or two, but we'll have to see about that. But yeah, things have to click in the private sphere first. I do not really want us at this moment to recollect to a Twitch account. I need to sort things out, but it'll show up in the future. Link or an address or something like that. So it's been fun.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm sad, as I said. Thanks everyone for watching, and if anyone wants to sometimes check up on me, I also have a Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/S4DR4X, and yeah, let's see how stuff with the 8th goes on.
I'm sorry you're sad.
Aw, poor Sad. But no. So yeah, I'm Chaos Waifu. You can find me on pretty much any of their things because now I'll troll them all. Yeah, but you can find me on the Discord. Just at me, and I will exterminatus you. And yeah, bye.
Oh. Yeah. So that's me. Yeah, guys. Sorry, I couldn't keep the Orc thing up all the way through. I would have probably killed myself by now and been banned by everyone. Yeah. So yeah, I will start doing videos and streaming again soon. Also, can we get the hashtag tits for the war trending, please, guys? If anyone needs it.
Don't do
We're
that.
gonna get this trending. Tits for the
Tits
war.
for the war.
Tits for the war.
Tits wog.
And yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, I guess I'm next. Yeah, I've been Mr. Plague. I'm only really on the Facebook page, but that might change. I don't know. Yeah, bye.
All right, and that leaves me. Thank you, guys. I've been Sneaky Beaky, your newest Facebook admin, been here since January. Hopefully keeping you all entertained with this podcast, shit posting, and many more on the Discord and on Facebook and on my Twitch. Links in the description. Be sure to like and follow us all on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook for all your 40K meme needs. Links in the description. And feel free to leave a comment and let us know what you'd like to see in the next podcast. As always, this is Sneaky Beaky here from Warhammer 40K Humor. And may the Emperor be with you. And do orcs have nipples? Thanks for stopping by.
For the wog.